This is Beyond Perception, where it's all about breaking out of a limited understanding, a limited perception of life, and waking up to our human nature, our true self, and possibly also to our connectedness with all life. I'm Simon, and I have the true pleasure to be here today with Elena Bensonoff and Alejandro Ferradas. Elena is a pioneer in the field of functional, regenerative, and quantum medicine, and has been sharing her gift of feeling for over 20 years. She founded holistic.com and helps people all over the world to find balance and vitality. Alejandro is the founder of lifeflowcatalyst.com and has used his intuitive gifts for 20 years to help others discover the abundant, love-filled lives they were meant to live. And together, you're offering frequency analysis and are leading and hosting Frequency Revelations, which is also why we're here today. And it's really awesome to have you both as a guest. Welcome, Elena and Alejandro.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for us to be here with you.
Thank you for having us.
And I want to give a brief context of how I bumped into the both of you. I believe it was last December when my wife found your Frequency Revelation episodes with Sasha Stone. And while she, from the first moment, was totally in it, to be honest, I was a little bit skeptical because the first episodes we watched were about alien races. And at that time, my thinking was, okay, like, who knows if they really exist? And if they did, what does it matter anyway? This is just another of these like esoteric woo-woo talks. However, you definitely intrigued my interest, and I read David Hawkins' book Power versus Force, which I think you referenced, right? And more or less understood it as an analytical approach, with the intention to measure subjective human experiences in an objective way, and that got me. And since then, I have watched many of your episodes. I also had my own frequency analysis with you, and I might share a little bit about that later if that fits the conversation. But what I found so helpful, and that's also why I'm so excited to talk to you here, is that you seem to provide a framework, which enables to reference own subjective experience versus the whole of human experience. And for me, it was like, when I bumped into the scale of consciousness of David Hawkins, and you might elaborate a little bit about that, it was like, oh, wait a minute, where am I right now? What am I experiencing right now? And then also, wait a minute, this is not all what's possible. Look at there are other experiences possible, and it really helped me to open up for, let's call it, other perspectives too. Like not just projecting my experience onto others, but oh, wait a minute, someone else is possibly somewhere else. And of course, I would love you both to, of course, educate our listeners a little bit about what you are doing and what you're measuring. And what I'm also interested, how did you came up with your approach? How did you bump into this? And how did it, was it helpful to you both? Like what I would assume. And now it's over to you.
Thank you so much to expand on. First, about the aliens show. Sasha, we love Sasha. He, like many others, in fact, like you today, he provided a list, like we're going to go through the list that you gave us. And he gave us a list on all these alien species, some of them we've never even heard of. And we're like, okay, well, we've been measuring using the scale of consciousness, thousands and thousands we've done of readings, private and public figures. So we thought, well, why not apply it to the alien race? We weren't attached to any of it, the same way we weren't attached to the list that you provided for us today. And it's always fascinating because information is just is. And we recognize that our divine field or the biofield contains, or the quantum field contains all of the information. Everything is imprinted in this field. It's sort of like, of course, we can't really compare to the cloud space. So when you store your photos, your files, it's stored in some kind of cloud space, right? So we as human beings, any kind of sentient beings, also have this space, the biofield itself, which contains past, present, and future information. Of course, future can have many different outcomes. This is something that we realize, and we don't ever use it for predicting things because the free will play into it. But we recognize that we can go into the field of information and retrieve that information through reading things like water. I don't know if you watched the episode on water. We recognize that water stores information. And not only that, we read the water from around different places in the world, but also we went back in time and read frequencies of water on the place 200 years ago, 500 years ago, and you can see the drastic difference. Same thing with different archaeological sites or sacred sites. The frequencies that those sites emitted today are drastically different than the frequencies they've emitted thousands of years ago. So we recognize there's absolutely something very, very powerful in all of this information. And now getting back into answering your question, how did we start this whole thing? Both Alejandro and I are extremely curious by nature, and we don't limit ourselves to one belief system. We're open, and I believe, both of us actually believe, that the only way to advance is to stay open-minded and curious. So initially, I was using not consciousness scale, but scalar waves to read things related to health. Okay, and this is something that I've been doing for many, many years. And what we recognized is sometimes there's things that are imprinted on our field, let's say like viruses, which is information in the field, that it will not leave a person's field, even if they say, let's say they were taking herbs or they were treated medically for things, those viruses will come back. And I wanted to know, why is it that these viruses were coming back? In fact, one of the ones that led us to this work was the Epstein-Barr virus. And I wanted to know the frequency of that virus. That was number one. Number two, I wanted to know, why was it coming back? And we recognize that viruses, this is just an example, kind of imprint themselves in the field, in the human energy field, with the emotions, certain unresolved emotions, events, and situations. So then we began to go backwards and test what were the events and situations in that person's life when that virus got imprinted, and what did it correlate to? What events and situation it correlated to, and what was the emotion? So this is how it all started. And then it was a huge aha moment. I said, why don't we look at ourselves and look at frequencies? Because of course we've read Dr. Hawkins' book, which is a great concept on the scale of consciousness, which is all linked to different emotions. So, okay, we knew he measured one number and he assigned one number to each person, right? And we recognized through our readings that we're so much more than that one number. So we said, okay, why don't we look at different aspects of our being, like health, finances, philanthropy, personal growth, creativity, relationships, intuition, different aspects of intuition. And we recognized that, of course, we're not that one number. It doesn't even make sense. And we also recognize that going and reading our lifetimes, and in many, many, many people's, like thousands of cases, everyone's numbers, of course, fluctuate throughout life. And it is when we have our own dips in life is where our biggest growth happens. But also, this is where emotions, events, and situations get imprinted on our field. And it gives us all an opportunity to, of course, either transcend or stay in that. And we see it over and over in many cases where some people stay in those lower frequencies for many, many years. And then something remarkable happens in their life, whether it's a car accident or some kind of event. For some women, a lot of times it's giving birth, right? Or being pregnant, that will enhance their frequency. So there's many different things that started happening when we tested people. And it also expanded our view, our knowledge, and also the recognition that, wow, the feedback from people was, how would you know this information? No one knew. This is like my deepest, darkest secret. I don't even want to face it. So through this feedback, our practice has drastically expanded, and we've added now over 20 categories of what we read in a person. And of course, you've had that experience, so you know exactly some of the things we've shared with you, I'm sure you've had, like, your light bulb went on and you were probably thinking, how would they know? But we know because it's through the scalar waves, reading the biofield. That's where all the information is stored, and knowing how to retrieve it is powerful. So it can be used for many, many great things, whether it's for healing, realigning your own biofield, or giving a person an opportunity to check in with themselves and see where they stand, so you can make a decision whether you want to grow from that experience or not. And everything is fine. We recognize that some people are where they are and they're happy where they are. And it's not necessarily about change. But if you have your inner soul's calling, that there is something greater to experience, just know that it's possible. Sorry, I think I just talked too much.
No, good. You saved me the time.
Yeah.
I was awake all night rehearsing. Thank you.
No, it's wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, you just mentioned, or I said it before, I had a reading with you, and I imagine the experience is each time different for everybody receiving a reading. For me, it was very helpful because it gave an outside perspective on my own journey, and it validated, like in my situation, a very difficult time, which I would always like kind of doubt that this really was so bad, and like don't be so tough on, like it wasn't so bad, nothing really happened, like why are you still dealing with that, in a way. Yeah, so seeing your perspective on that, it was like, oh wow, it actually was really tough. Yeah. And yeah, it was not just like a creation of the mind. I mean, in the end, everything is a creation of the mind, but that really helped me to, oh wow, like to develop some appreciation for the difficult times I have been going through, and also recognizing that I came a long way, like, yeah, and it's really helped me to really have a pause and, wow, wait a minute, like no matter what like still happens in this life, like you kind of achieve, maybe it's the wrong word, but kind of like, oh, like that's awesome. Yeah. And and what it also did, yeah, it also revealed or brought to attention maybe some of the weak spots, yeah, like where there's still some like work to do or attention needed, or maybe also a kind of a shift in priority. So I found it extremely, extremely helpful. And my wife also had a reading with you. Like her experience was different than mine, of course. But maybe like for those listeners who are encountering this work for the first time. So we mentioned the scale of consciousness before, and there are like, it's a scale from like, do you want to just quickly, maybe in a minute, like explain what the scale is from where to when? Like,
Yes, it's from 1 up to 1,000. 1,000 being a fully integrated being, human being, right? Well, where there is no resistance whatsoever, with the divine intelligence just flows freely. And so it is related to emotions. And based on the predominant emotion, that dictates the level of consciousness that the person is experiencing. And of course, the lower the number, the higher the level of resistance that the person is experiencing, right? And you go from as 1 up to 200, that is what Dr. Hawkins called the force end of the spectrum. And anything from 200 and above all the way to 1,000 is the power end of the spectrum, right? Because it needs, it has less and less resistance, therefore it moves freely more often than not. So we use the scale of consciousness that Dr. Hawkins created as a point of reference, right? To give people the idea of what is it they are experiencing and how they're experiencing it. and also pinpoint the emotions that are contributing to the level of consciousness they're experiencing. But we go beyond that, just one number, like Elena pointed out.
We don't use kinesiology.
And
people say we don't use pendulums.
Right.
We use actually technology.
Yes. And it's not based on our intuitive abilities, although it comes in handy, especially when we're interacting with a person and describing their vibrational frequency analysis. But it is not based on our intuitive abilities, It's pure quantum physics, quantum mechanics.
Mm-hmm. One of the questions I had, and I might be playing devil's advocate here, because consciousness, like, it's subjective, right? How can we objectively measure it? And one of the questions I had, if I were to use your technology or your machine, would I have different results, or would those results still remain the same? Does it matter who is doing it? Because I remember from the book that David Hawkins says, like, in order to be a reliable indicator or measure something, you need to be above a certain level of consciousness, if I recall it right.
Yes.
Yes.
And that is definitely extremely important when one is applying kinesiology, because emotions can get in the way and obstruct the flow of that which we're seeking, right? As the answer we're seeking. But the way when we do it, since we're not using kinesiology, it's a different story. But still, it is better to vibrate at higher levels or a high level, right? To where there is no interferences whatsoever with the work. Now, it will depend as of the ability of the person to tune in along with the instruments when they are doing the reading, and to get the high level of accuracy that we are obtaining. And that has to do with practice, or, it's like people that are born like prodigy childs, or children, that they at the age of 5, they're playing like Beethoven or Bach or, right? Or Chopin, and without taking any lessons whatsoever. So the instrument works very well. It vibrates a very high frequency. The method itself also extremely high frequencies, but it is very helpful to acquire a high level of accuracy if the person really connects with the instrument, to where the instruments become like an extension of the person.
You know what I always say? If you have a piano in your house, by having it in your house is not going to make you a Mozart. And concerto piano player. So it's the same thing. You can have the most incredible instrument at your hands, but if you're not good at differentiating what is you, what is not you, when you're working with it, and also practicing, committing yourself fully to using it on a daily basis, you will not be good, period.
Yes. And the key, I think one of the key factors is to remove judgment out of the equation, because judgment brings resistance and it slows down divine intelligence, that which we're retrieving, right, from the field of information.
So could you say that the higher your own frequency, the more you are aligned with truth, the less you're projecting your own subjective desires onto the results, and the more objective the results are?
Yes.
And it's, I would say that a great example, Elena talked about water. When water flows freely, naturally, one finds that the water is healthier than tap water and then bottled water and so forth, right? Because it's not going through the processes to remove all the toxic ingredients or component or elements, and also when it's being forced to move a certain way, the opposite of when it moves naturally, that also creates resistance. And that resistance is imprinted in the water, as we know, because it absorbs information, right? Or stores information. So in that decreases the level of the frequency of the water itself as well, besides the health.
Yeah, so I would say it's important, like for us, when we do these analysis, to stay absolutely neutral. We have to absolutely detach what is us, and we are part of that which we're reading, and we're just there to give information. Mm-hmm. That is it. Mm-hmm. And it actually made us realize that everything is beautiful. Everything, everyone is beautiful. Everyone is important. So through this work, we recognize the shadow and the light exist, always has, and has since the creation itself. And it's more of a matter of where each person chooses to play out their part. Mm-hmm. So we stay neutral. We just give information as is.
Both are equally important.
Yes.
Yes.
So I know you have a few revelations to share today. There's another question. I'm really curious, because I remember from one of your readings, you measured humanity, if I recall it, at 230 these days, you know, mm-hmm. which is in the positive emotional territory. And in the book of David Hawkins, it was still like, I think the book is 20 or 30 years old. It was something like 204. So that there already is an ascension. A frequency is increasing of humanity. And my question is, because I also recall from the book that the majority, 85% at that time of humanity, were below, like were in a negative emotional state, even though the average frequency was in like at neutrality. So that also would mean that a minority of high frequency beings can compensate a lot of beings maybe vibrating in a negative emotional state. And what I'm now curious to hear from your perspective, mm-hmm. is there a trend in increase in frequency on within humanity? And then the second question, what would you contribute to if it were like that?
Great question. I'll answer part one. You can do part two. We actually have measured the human frequency overall collective, right? Of the human frequency for thousands of years. We went back and we wanted to see the trends. Okay. And what we recognize, it's not that it's going up. It's been going up and down. And we're pretty much in the similar place where we were 2,000 years ago. Okay. So the big change is going to come to something else. We don't know what that something else is, but we did measure several generations, and you might want to talk about that.
Yeah, there's a few ancient civilizations that vibrated at very high frequencies, mm-hmm. right? In comparison to the rest of the world at that time. And but yes, the human collective at 230, we also looked at the different points that we address when we do the vibrational frequency analysis. And there are some points to where this is, you know, at very high frequencies when it comes in relation to different aspects, as of how they view when it comes to personal growth, creativity, mm-hmm. you know, intuition, and so forth. But I will say that a drastic change is actually, based on our research, is taking place in 2045. And that there's an event taking place apparently, and this really actually such a stone suggested to, if we, you know, asked us to measure it, and because an astrologer, a friend of his, said that there was going to be an event taking place that year and changing things, right? So we decided, okay, let's look into it on a deeper level. So there is going to be an event that's taking place at that time, but as has been, we have experienced many of events in the past that vibrate at very high frequencies, you know, 1,000. But the frequency of the human collective is impacted that very same day when this event took place. But then a couple of days after, it goes back to the way it was prior to the event taking place. Because the human collective vibrational frequency is not high enough to hold it.
Anchor it, yeah.
Right, to anchor it. Exactly, that's the word. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2000, when this event happens in 2045, our frequency is going to move up to 350. And then in 2046, we have a drastic shift. So it's right after this event, actually. Right before the event, it was 350. And right after the event, and a few months after, into 2046, we go into the 500s. But when we say, okay, is it really just the event that is going to contribute to this higher frequency? And then we went into checking different generations, right? And we realized that the newer generations are coming in with higher vibrational frequencies as the average. So that is really what is going to help the frequency of the event taking place anchor it. That's what is going to anchor that and absorb this frequency and take advantage of that, so then they can increase and go into the 500s like it wasn't possible before. But maybe that's how it happened back in those days when those ancient civilizations were vibrating at 700, like the Inca civilization, like the Mayas, the Aztecs, and a couple others, that we have measured.
I don't think we publicly revealed them yet, so there you go.
No, you're the first one to hear it. We were going to do a show with Sasha Stone, but then he traveled.
Because that was my question. So I missed that episode. And
we didn't do that yet. We'll just do it in our community. But yeah,
that was exactly my questions. Like, how is this? If there is an ascension, how is it being done? Are the different generations incarnating here with different frequencies, kind of contributing to an increase?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
that was one of my questions. So,
but we as a human collective, we're also doing the work. We're also expanding, right? Mm-hmm. We're also contributing. People are more curious about what is possible, and they're willing to open the door to unlimited possibilities. They're more curious about finding out more and learning more about themselves, like you, like us. Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this episode already. But one of the things you mentioned initially, that you're kind of very open-minded, not detached to a certain worldview, and that was also one of the things we wanted to share today. Look at different worldviews, belief systems, and with what kind of emotional experience they might be related to. And do you think that would be a good time to start with?
Yes, of course.
Because to me it became ever more obvious that each one of us has a reality filter through which we see life, right? Mm-hmm. And possibly also an emotional state, right, connected to the reality filter. Mm-hmm. And in David Hawkins' book, he called it attractor pattern, which it was sticking with me because it felt very magnetic. It felt like, oh no, this is all there is. Yeah, this is how it has to be. And when you said that it is very helpful to you to not be detached to a certain worldview, it makes a lot of sense to me. And I know that there are so many different worldviews. We possibly could talk about those for days. Yeah. We selected a few today to look at them, right?
Mm-hmm. I want people to know you send us the list the day before. Yeah. So talk about non-attachment. Yeah. And I was so excited. I'm like, I want to know. And this is so exciting for us, just so you know, and people who are watching and listening, this is an exciting piece of information. And the reason we absolutely love doing this is for us, it creates so much clarity. And over the last 2 years, having our community, it has created an incredible amount of clarity and recognition. While there's chaos, this chaos that could be happening on so many levels, it gives you peace knowing what is created as an illusion and something created or inserted in our holographic reality, right? and what is perhaps something that's worth exploring based on the frequencies and integrity and different aspects. So today we'll cover with you, let's see, 1 to 4 different aspects in relationship to some of the theories that you've asked us to measure.
Yeah, and I have to say it again. I said it, I told it to you before. I'm extremely grateful, and I was a little bit ashamed to just send you yesterday this list because I know it takes a lot of time on your side to prepare those numbers. So I'm beyond grateful that it worked and that it intrigued you also to find out.
Very, very much.
We couldn't resist.
We couldn't resist. And there was a surprise, which I actually said at the end. It touched me so deeply because through these requests like you and people in our community, we also learn, because our worldview and our view of creation expands. And that's actually what consciousness is, right? And the creation itself, it's learning from itself. So we're all learning from each other. And the little data that you gave us through names expanded our worldview. And there's going to be something that's going to be so powerful and beautiful. It's actually, we'll share it afterwards. So first, let's go through it.
Yeah, super. And one of the things I learned from you, it was reinforced by you. Is this like observing and learning without judging? Yeah. So also like talking about these numbers, to me, it is not about competition or, oh, wow, this is higher than this and whatever. I have this number, you are at that number. Yes. But it's more like, oh, wow, like I'm having this experience. Yeah, there's another one. Yeah, and it really enables flexibility. Yeah, that's very important. Like for me personally, to also maybe share with the listeners. Yeah, that it's not about a competition here.
And we always say that. Actually, we've had a few people who join our community and they will say, where's your timestamp on all these things? And why aren't you putting these numbers on each slide? In our community, we don't do that because it takes away from the message. And we always say, what is a journey for one person at the frequency of 250 could feel like an enlightenment, because they had to overcome so many hardships, so many lower frequencies. And it is beautiful where they're at. And it is appreciating your frequency and understanding how much work it took for you to be here. And for another person, being at 400 wouldn't feel the same way. This is why we always say we can never compare two people's journeys. Every journey is unique. Every person signs up for their own unique journey, for their own different things to work through in their lifetime. So exactly, thank you so much for pointing out that we cannot compare people's frequencies. It's just recognizing where people stand. That's all it is.
Yes, and it has to do, I feel, on a soul level, as of what frequency they incarnated at, their frequency in utero. That's one of the points that we go over. And the frequency they were born at, and also their frequency before incarnation. That's something that we have incorporated lately. I don't think we did that for you, no?
No, we did. I think we might have
your
given
frequency
it.
Before incarnation? Did we do that?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, we did.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, interesting. The numbers changed quite a bit. Yeah.
Fascinating. Why and how?
Right. So yes, on a deeper level, we feel there is a greater feeling to be experienced, right? And we just don't know exactly what it is, but we're always, as long as we have a strong conviction that we're being divinely guided at all times, and we just have to tune in, right, to get the right information and just trust that we're being guided. That doesn't matter what frequency we're experiencing. It's just all for the sake of the experience, and then things will come and flow freely more often.
Yeah. So really not identifying yourself with the experience.
Exactly. By thinking too much.
Mm-hmm.
Paying too much attention to the intellect, and and that's what slows down the process of allowing life to surprise you, and bringing you into a full alignment with your divine purpose. That's one of the points that we also measure, right? Alignment with divine purpose and alignment with personal purpose.
Yeah, I think this was a message to me. Yeah. Yeah.
To all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, do we want to start?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, do we start?
Do you want to introduce the theory?
Yeah.
We can give the numbers, or you introduce the theory and then we give the numbers.
Okay, then I will say a few words. Yeah. So, yeah, there is a great debate about what shape the Earth has, right? And like, I looked into this a little bit, and yeah, there are good reasons against and pro, different theories, different models. And what we want to share here is results for different shapes of Earth. Well, what do we want to start with? The sphere?
Round Earth. Let's start with the round Earth.
Yeah, I guess this model is familiar with the most of us. Yeah.
So we can go straight into it, into numbers, right? So
yeah, maybe a few words, because it's really interesting. Yeah, our Earth is a sphere, an ellipsoid, and we don't fall off this planet rotating with a speed of 1,670 kilometers per hour at the equator, yeah, which is quite a bit, because gravity is keeping us to the surface while we're on our journey through the solar system. So that's really interesting to think about. Yeah.
That's why I feel dizzy sometimes, I guess.
All right. Yeah. So ready for the numbers?
Yeah.
All right. Round Earth theory. Vibrational frequency of that theory is 100, which is fear. We thought, this is interesting. Anyway, we're surprised. Wow. Integrity of the theory, 63%. So it's important to measure the integrity, right? And then we measured alignment with divine purpose of the theory, and it's 82%. So the frequency is scaled from 0 to 1,000, and the percentages I'm giving from 0 to 100%. So alignment with divine purpose of round Earth theory is 82%, so out of alignment. Alignment with its mission, the mission of the theory, is 99%. So what does this mean? I don't know, but these are the numbers.
Well, whoever came up with the theory was really felt a sense of fulfillment, right? That he accomplished his mission almost to the fullest.
Yeah, very interesting.
99%. So that's its mission, right?
So that would imply it's like time for the next mission, another mission, another.
There should be something else, and that's why you gave us the questions that you provide us are giving us some clues, right? So these are all meant to give us like breadcrumbs on the way to perhaps opening our curiosity even more, and looking and testing different things to see where is it guiding us? What is it?
But to be honest, I'm very surprised.
We were too. We were too.
Yeah. Well, but obviously, I'm very curious to compare it to the other theories and models. Should we hop?
Yeah, go.
Of course.
Go for it.
Yeah. So, brief introduction to flat Earth. Yeah, like possibly some of you have heard about it before. It basically means Earth is a plane. There's no curvature, and possibly also no gravity, just different densities determining if an object rises or floats. And there might be a firmament above us with the stars, moon, and sun in it. And interestingly, there are really good reasons justifying this theory. For example, if you look at flight routes of airplanes, they seem to only make sense if you put them on a flat map. Then suddenly routes become straight lines. And also, and that's an interesting calculation I guess everybody can make for themselves. You can use Pythagorean mathematics, formulas, because if Earth would be a ball, a sphere with curvature, if you look for, like, and I'm using the example of Lake Constance, which is the largest lake of Germany. So from one side to the other, it's 40 kilometers. And there, by the theory, if Earth would or is a sphere, there must be a water tower, like a water wall in between of, I believe it's 16 meters. Yeah, like based on the curvature, like we're experiencing, or we should have if planet Earth exists. But you can, like with clear view, you can look from one side to the other. Yeah, so there, the water tower seems not to be there. Yeah, so it's really interesting. Yeah, to think about the reasons. Yeah, because firsthand you would say like it's ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, I've never looked into flat Earth theory, but anyway, the results are very interesting. Are you ready for the numbers?
Yeah.
Vibrational frequency 200. Integrity 85%. Alignment with divine purpose 74%. Alignment with its mission 96%.
So 200 is a frequency of courage, right? That's like the gateway to recognizing the connectedness of it all, right? Whereas the 100 frequency for around Earth, that's fear. That was fear-based theory, which we thought is interesting. Yeah, so this is opening to something. I would say it's opening a door. Yeah.
This is so interesting. The next one would be hollow Earth, and it's a concept proposing that the planet Earth is entirely hollow or contains substantial interior spaces. Like if you look at Wikipedia, it was suggested for the first time 17th century. And like defended through the mid 19th century, and like now it's called pseudoscience and not really any longer scientifically viable hypothesis.
Yeah, what I find interesting is we did an episode with Sasha where he had us measure Agartha, supposedly the city, and the civilization in the Earth, and it was a frequency, I think, of 700. 700, and then he had us measure the sun, inner sun, which vibrated at a frequency of 10,000, which is the same frequency as the sun that we see. So the hollow Earth theory, are you ready?
Yeah.
We talked about getting some drums.
I know, we need drums.
Vibrational frequency 500. Integrity 94%. Alignment with divine purpose 99%. And alignment with its mission 100%. You know, you mentioned about the flat Earth theory that they said is also has to do with levels of density, right? And I feel that is definitely true when it comes to the hollow Earth, because that is really what we experience, our experience, and how we perceive life. Actually, how we perceive life is how that is our experience, right? And everything begins with thought, as of what thought we're entertaining the most, that is triggering, what emotions have been triggered by those thoughts, and how do we feel when that happens, and how do we feel? The better we feel, the higher our numbers of vibrational frequency, and therefore the lower the level of resistance we're experiencing, and the lower the level of density we're experiencing. And if the lower the level of density we're experiencing, the higher the dimension we're experiencing,
and a higher frequency,
right? The higher the frequency, the lower the density, the higher the dimension. So that could be also a little bit of from the flat Earth
or the round Earth. How about the round Earth?
The round Earth could be applied right into the hollow Earth theory. Yeah?
Theoretically, it could also be a combination, right? It could be a planet which is hollow. It could be a flat Earth which is hollow.
Exactly.
It could be a combination of many different things. Yes. All right, next
one is a geocentric model, I believe, right? Basically it says Earth is at the center of the universe.
Okay, the frequency is 55. 55 is apathy, what we would call in this case manipulated theory. Integrity of the theory is 7%. Of course, we know that's not true, right? The whole theory was discredited. Alignment with divine purpose, 3%. Alignment with the mission of the theory was 15%. So
it was created by Ptolemy of Alexandria.
Which we didn't read. We should have read the frequency of that. We didn't do that.
No.
But anyway, yes. Next one.
The next one is heliocentric model, which basically says that the Earth and planets revolve around the sun at the center of the universe.
Created by Nicolaus Copernicus.
Yes.
Vibrational frequency of 50. Integrity 8%.
Okay.
Aligning with divine purpose 8%.
Okay.
And aligning with its mission 15%.
So perhaps there's something else.
Yeah, that was my question. Okay.
A lot more to be explored.
Explored and discovered. I think astronomers, cosmologists, quantum physicists have their work cut out for them.
Interesting. Yeah.
Very.
Okay.
Yes.
Very unexpected to me, to be honest.
Yes. For us too. Yeah, because you don't have numbers. We didn't give them to you yet.
Yeah, no, I don't. And I mean, like from there, and I write the different views on planet Earth or Earth itself. But then also the other question is, how did we evolve? Like how did we came as humans into existence, right? And about these questions, many people have been killed, imposing the answer on that. So we might also look at different models for explanation.
Yes. And I feel that after we go through that, we don't know the specifics, of course, but the feeling of it is that you can find a correlation between what we're about to reveal and what we just revealed when it comes to the Earth theories in relation to the evolution of how we came to be, right, as humans.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Go for it, go.
So do we want to start with creation?
Yeah.
Please, yes.
Yeah, like in a sentence, it's really an all-powerful, mighty God created us humans, respectively all creation. And it's like if you look at the Bible or the Quran, it holds that God created the world and mankind, like even within 7,000 years. And creationism is associated with a dogmatic doctrine of salvation in an absolute manner, and many other biblical interpretations. I mean, I guess everybody's familiar with that.
Yeah, religious creation. I will say one thing. This is where the God is personified.
Yes.
Right? Vibrational frequency of religious creationism is 50, manipulation. Integrity of this theory is 5%. Alignment with divine purpose, 2%. Alignment with the mission, 97%. Very, very revealing.
on target to fulfill their agenda, right?
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, that's so interesting. So,
next one.
The next one would be Darwinism, evolution. It's a predominant explanatory model today based on Charles Darwin's theories in the second half of the 19th century. And basically it postulates that higher life forms developed from lower, and that the first unicellular organisms evolved from organic matter accidentally by so-called biogenesis. It's a very materialistic worldview, and it's based on the assumption that life originates from matter, and everything that exists, life, consciousness, is a function of material energy and can be explained by the laws of matter, right? Yeah.
Yes. Vibrational frequency 55. integrity, 21%, alignment with divine purpose, 15%, alignment with its mission, 88%.
So those two theories can be thrown out the window.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to hop into these frequencies, to be honest.
Let's do the one on human race genetically engineered
Okay.
alien slave race. Yeah?
Yeah, super. Yeah, that was another concept. Some researchers like Zekaria Sitchin believe that, for example, the Anunnaki genetically engineered modern-day humans by crossbreeding with Homo erectus. They did that to use humans as a slave species race in order to mine gold from the earth. And of course, there are a lot of different
versions of
that story, but that's kind of, I think, the umbrella.
Okay. Human race genetically engineered by aliens as a race, slave race, vibrational frequency 55. Integrity 59%. Alignment with divine purpose 46%. And alignment with its mission 96%. There you go.
Interesting. Really interesting. Yeah. And then
Next one, right?
we have another one, which is so-called involution. Should I share a little bit about?
Yes,
Of course,
please.
please.
Yeah, so we talked about the evolutionary theory, indicating basically that higher forms evolved from the lower matter as the source, and with the involutionary model, it's basically the reverse. Yeah, the lower are generated from the higher consciousness being the source of all, and hence involution can be defined as interdimensional, cosmically descending evolution, controlled and executed through mental impulses which inspire and form matter. It's a cosmic hierarchical creation from the highest, least dense dimensional world to the world of three-dimensional dense planets and bodies. And it really means that spirit precedes matter, and that creation occurs when spiritual beings go into matter, and form entire worlds, as well as fate and destiny through their respective orientations of consciousness. So it's basically materializing from consciousness, energy, matter.
Yes.
This is the one we were reading. We actually both had chills.
It's like energy. Everything is energy before it becomes matter, right? Matter is just frozen light or energies. Yes. That's why everything vibrates at a specific frequency.
Yeah.
Vibrational frequency for the involution, 700. That is what the enlightenment, that's where enlightenment begins, right? 700. Integrity, 100%. Alignment with divine purpose, 100%. Alignment with its mission, 100%.
And based on, we had to look it up actually after we read it. We're like, what is it? And then I said, oh, this is very much in alignment with where the quantum physics right now is going. Yes. So makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah.
So
my question, if mission is 100%, so that means it accomplished its purpose and something else is coming now? So that means another concept, another theory? How would you understand it?
I will say that if there's another theory, it will be an extension of this one to actually expand it, to be more specific and detailed oriented, and better for people to understand it better. And so if they feel it as something that it is, that resonates with people. But in order for that to happen, or in order for that to take place, people's vibrational frequency has to be higher, right? Because that is how they can actually perceive it from a higher perspective.
But I think the quantum physicists are onto something. They'll be the one that will be coming up or postulating new theories, and I would say it most likely will be based on that.
Yeah, and
this is the one that I said that you can find a link between involution and the hollow Earth theory.
Interesting. I believe we also have 3 concepts possibly explaining this process of involution, right? How consciousness turns into energy, matter.
Yes.
Creating what we perceive as reality. And again, it's just a selection. It's just 3 of possibly many. Yeah, so should we just start? Yeah?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so the first one I choose because I have been exposed to it. I can admit I don't fully understand it and I couldn't give a presentation on it, but it seems to me very insightful. So basically, it's the all-is-one theory by Ettore Majorana. He's called the Newton or Galileo of the 20th century. He was an autistic mathematical genius who perceived numbers as energetic symbols, and he solved tasks with pentavalent logic. It's I think there are 5 kinds of logic. I read it, very interesting. And he disappeared at age 31. Yeah. And his model operates with 5 spheres: consciousness, the so-called formation, energy, more subtle energy, and finally, it's called, I don't know how to translate it correctly. It's in German, Feinstofflich. It's a different form, like a denser form of energy, and then matter. Yeah, and of course, there are far more details to it. What I would propose that we kind of present them, and then the listener, if they're intrigued, they can learn a little bit more about those theories, or we might do like another episode, investigating those models. Yeah.
Yeah. And, keep in mind also that these are the possibilities that we're all given right now to kind of, it's a translator. We're trying to translate even with these theories, right? And quantify things that are so beyond, I think, our human perception, right? But anyway, the overall frequency for all-is-one theory is 350. And actually, when we read that, I said to Alejandro, wow, this makes sense, because 350 has to do with acceptance of self, and therefore acceptance of others. It's a very powerful frequency. So it makes sense, all is one, because when you recognize that you are me and I'm you, you're accepting you for who you are and therefore me, right? So that's the 350. Integrity of the theory is 86%. Alignment with divine purpose is 90%. Alignment with its mission, 95%. So this is onto something. What that is, we don't know yet, but perhaps there's going to be another genius that will come along and use that as the base to move forward, combining it with the inversion theory. And of course, we tested Ettore Majorana. We've never heard of this before. So this is just our numbers. His overall frequency was 400, so makes sense. He's a mathematical genius, as you shared. That's a frequency of reason, the ability to decipher large amounts of data. So that would give him that frequency, and his integrity was 100%.
Yes, he is onto something for sure.
He was, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Still, there is a missing
piece.
To where still he's onto something, but still there's a missing piece to complete the puzzle.
Yes.
It's really like playing a puzzle, right? You don't have all the pieces yet, but some at least.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's really interesting. What's next?
Chakra model.
Yeah. Okay. This chakra model is developed by Ruth Huber. It's something I'm personally familiar with, and was very helpful. It is very helpful to me, and it basically separates reality into 14 different levels, chakras, our bodily chakras, 1 to 6, as the lower octave of astral spiritual octave, chakras 7 to 12, with 14 being the source, unity, the nameless. And each one of us with our focus perceiving reality through one of these different chakras. Yeah. Focus in the lower 3 chakras, which possibly a majority of people are in, leads to an instinctive, reactive experience. 4th is an emotional experience. 5th, more mental experience. And the 6th, or an open 3rd eye, which according to Rutuber, around 15% of humans have, enables to traverse the astral planes or illusionary heaven and access spiritual dimensions, which are chakra 10 and higher. And that's according to this concept also where the higher self resides.
All right.
You said that, sorry, chakra 14 is source?
Yes.
Yes.
So, well, we measure the vibrational frequency of each dimension, right? And the vibrational frequency of the dimension 13, which, let's say, this, the way you're explaining it, we can correlate it with chakra 13, right? It's at 1,000.
But source is infinite.
But source is there's that is I doesn't resonate with me, that as of 14 being source. Right?
Because we measured higher dimensions.
Right. And Kaku, was it the scientist? Kaku?
Yeah.
How do you pronounce his name?
Kaku.
Kaku. He's saying
a quantum
there's
physicist.
only 11 dimensions, right? Which we don't agree with. So we agree more with what she's sharing as of at least going into 13th dimensions, right? Related to the chakras. And we feel that even more dimensions, which is 13. Yeah. But okay, now vibrational frequency of the chakra model by Ruth Haber, 500. Integrity, 100%. Alignment with divine purpose, 97%. You see, that's probably why there's a missing piece there. Alignment with its mission, 100%. So she fully believes, and she's acting in full integrity based on what she believes, well, based on what her truth is, right? And she has accomplished her mission. So that's great. She's just missing a little piece there.
Like most things we're seeing, it's like right? there's just more.
To expand it and get it to a greater version, right? A more limitless or unlimited one.
Yes.
Yeah? Yes.
All right. 12-dimensional model.
Awesome. Yeah. I think last but not least, a 12-dimensional model by Burkhard Heim. He was a German theoretical physicist and devoted a large portion of his life to the pursuit of a unified field theory, a so-called Heim theory. This theory has received little attention in scientific literature and is regarded as being outside mainstream science, which is not a criteria for itself, possibly.
All right. Vibrational frequency is 100. Fear. Integrity, 69%. Alignment with divine purpose of this theory, 53%. Alignment with its mission, 95%. We also measured this Burkhard Heim's vibrational frequency, 125, which is desire, unfulfilled desire. And his integrity was at 66%. And now, last but not least, you asked us to we never even heard of. But thanks to you, I will say this. It's been an honor and a privilege to read this person that we're going to reveal in a moment. And I get excited when we actually, because we've read a lot of male figures with high frequencies in the last century. It's nice to be able to read a female who is remarkable. I don't know much about her. Due to you, it's the first time we read her, and I'm very curious. So let's introduce her, and then we'll share the numbers.
Okay, yeah. So it is about Anandamayi Ma. She lived from 1896 to 1982, and she was an Indian saint described as the most perfect flower the Indian soil has produced. precognition, faith healing, and miracles were attributed to her by her followers. And her Sanskrit name, Anandamayi, translates as joy permeated, and was given to her by her devotees. And I'm getting very excited.
I have chills all over my body.
This name was given to her by her devotees in the 1920s to describe her perpetual state of divine joy. And till today, she is to many, and including me, an incredible inspiration, orientation, light, and also really an archetypal manifestation of divine unconditional love and joy. And I had some experiences which are beyond any words, and that's also why I would love to. I'm very curious, of course.
Wonderful. So that India proclaimed her to be the most beautiful flower that India has ever produced.
Yeah, we decided to look her up after the numbers. I'm like, oh my God, this brought tears to us, because just so people understand the context of it, Alejandro and I have read thousands of people, thousands. And this is such a unique case. We want people to understand this is very unique. Her numbers are extremely unique. We haven't read a female like this since probably, the other female that is all the highest numbers avatar level was Mary Magdalene. So she has a lot of these numbers in her chart today that we're going to reveal. So keep that in mind. Thanks to you, Simone, for bringing this to our attention, because I always wanted to know, where are the females? We need females with high numbers. So thanks to you. I'll share part one. Alejandro will go into percentages.
Yes, of course.
So, wow. She incarnated at the frequency of 900, which is the level of enlightenment. Enlightenment goes from 700 to 1,000. We always say 1,000 is a fully integrated experience. She was born at the frequency of 600, which is peace. So there was the drop from incarnation to birth. And her overall frequency in life was 900. Health, she viewed through the lens of 950. Finances, viewed through the lens of peace, 600. Creativity, through the lens of 1,000. Relationships, 900. Personal growth, 1,000. Philanthropy, 900. Intuition, 1,000. Clairaudience, 1,000. Clairsentience, 1,000. So clairaudience is receiving information through hearing. Clairsentience is feeling. So no wonder she was this remarkable healer, and people healed in her presence. Her health at 950 and her abilities at 1,000. Clairvoyance, 900. Claircognizance, 1,000. There's very few people that we've read, and that was some of the artists, modern day, well, not modern day, like Leonardo da Vinci had a couple of thousands in his chart. But these numbers are very, very rare. So she has a lot of these signs of, she's enlightened, totally enlightened being. Yeah. So now we'll give percentages.
From 1 up to 100%, right? In the joy as of how much she was enjoying the role that she played in this reality as Anandamayi, 100%. In the now, how much time she spent in the present moment, in the now, 100%. So she was always fully present. In the ego, how much she paid attention to the thoughts that we have labeled as ego, 25%, one of the lowest we have read so far.
It's amazing.
Is it? Yeah?
Yes. And then we have broken it down in two types of thoughts within the ego, the inferior and the superior. And for her, it's well balanced, 50% in the inferior and 50% in the superior, right? So they cancel each other out pretty much. And that's the reason why one can remain in the present moment 100% of the time, because you're not being pulled by either type of thought. They're passing by, but you're not attaching to it, right? Integrity, 100%. This is how loyal and faithful the person is to their core values and beliefs, to their truth, right?
At 900 frequency.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Self-awareness, 100%. Clarity, 100%. Alignment with divine purpose, 100%. Alignment with personal purpose, 100%. Compassion, 100%. Empathy, 100%. Energy purity, 100%. And she was actually experiencing life 96% of the time on the 13th dimension. Mm-hmm.
That's the 1,000 frequencies in her chart.
Exactly.
So thanks to you for bringing this person into our field of perception. It was an honor for us to read her.
Mm-hmm.
This is really very special.
It's because sometimes we have to disconnect fully in order not to feel that which vibrates at lower frequencies, right? And it's good to experience and feel it, but there's no effort when someone is vibrating at this frequency. We want to feel it as much as possible.
It's so nice.
You know, it feels like home. It's my bed, my pillow. You know, it's not like going to on a trip and you doing your first night at a hotel. Well, the pillow is too hard or too soft. And, you know, have to find the right spot. But in this case, it's
just flowing. It just flows. Yeah.
So thank you.
You're very welcome, and
we love your list.
Yeah, gladly I was introduced to her too. Yeah, so I don't know what to say. This is almost a perfect close. Yeah.
I agree.
You orchestrated it with that. Maybe you knew it, but yeah, it's perfect as is.
On a small level, definitely you knew it.
No, yeah. Dear Elena Alejandro, thank you so much for your time, contribution, and sharing these incredible revelations with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will, of course, add resources and also how to contact you, learn more about you to the show notes of this episode, so that each one who's listening to this and wants to learn more.
And join our community. We have global community where we have like over 70 episodes.
People from every country in the almost every country in the world, you know, and like-minded people that one can meet also and learn and, you know, continue to explore what's possible
and
what seemed to be not possible and eventually becomes possible.
Stay curious, open-hearted, open-minded, and it will lead you to beautiful places.
That's when magic happens.
Nothing to add, yeah? No, I can definitely recommend for those who have not yet watched your revelations, check them out, look through the webpage. There's so much to learn and see, and I'm part of your group, yeah, so I can truly recommend to join that and explore reality together. Yeah, that's
right.
What really drives me too. There's so much to learn, explore, and thank you again. Yeah, thank you listeners for joining us on this discovery and exploration. And never forget, all is love, fear is illusion, all beings are free, and truth can never be destroyed.